Thank you so much for being here. So you either opened this video because the title spoke to you, and obviously you want freedom. And that choice is one that we each make every day because we choose freedom when we choose ourselves, becoming our authentic selves, or we choose bondage when we continue to hide who we are or not owning our authenticity or our uniqueness or why we're in the world. And you might think that that title came up today because I live in the United States and there's a huge demonstration, No King's Day, and that symbolism about choosing freedom. And that's what so many people are feeling today. And it could feel accidental that it's occurring and why I'm giving you this video, but I know that it's not. Because that title was given to me 5 years ago on this date in 2020. And that's when I was receiving all this information from Wilhelm that I didn't understand, but I understand it today. I'm saying that because we all do that. We grow in our consciousness over time. But I did something else. I received information in a different way because my life was meant to give you a way to choose freedom. Now, I didn't know that. We never know how our lives are going to turn out and what that mission is going to be, but we each have one, and yours might be upon you today. Before I came on to do this video, I want to give you this because some people will relate to this. We're moving through big energetic changes in our world, and so you're feeling them in your body, and you may be experiencing different things, but I was listening to this video talking about the body chills or angel bumps, or some people might think of it in that way. And so as I began to talk about Wilhelm, because I'm going to explain that a bit more, because I want others to understand it, because I didn't understand it. But in 1989, when I sat down to start receiving Wilhelm, it was a deliberate effort I was making because I wanted some help. And so the only place we receive help is in our consciousness. We may think it's somewhere else, but it's only in our consciousness. But we want to get it from a different consciousness. And so what would happen is I'm sitting there and I'm meditating, which I had been doing. I would start to hear something, but I didn't believe it. I didn't trust it. I go, how am I hearing this? How am I understanding it? And I would sit there for the longest time, and then I would get this body chill. Then I started to know that that was an indication. That was my higher self. That was Wilhelm saying, yes, this is correct. Please go. Please do it. You know how you sit there sometimes and you doubt yourself and you just don't believe who you are, and then you keep doing that and something will happen that will awaken you. You might be experiencing that because we're moving through great energetic changes. But the first thing I want to do, because that title was used deliberately to capture attention, as you will hear, but also to cause me to become more vulnerable. Because that's not a title that I would ever use, because I also hid from myself and feared myself most of my life. But I thought maybe today I would own that, as I would like for more people to do. And so this message will begin to make sense for so many of us on this date because it's an important one. You'll see that on my site, Any Advice for Today, the message there for today says one of the most pivotal days of your life. And that is true for all of us. When we start to understand the energetic connection of everything that happens in our lives and world, then this will make a lot more sense. This is the message, however. Part of this message is on my website, Any Advice for Today, but it was edited for the messages that are there. You can read that, but I'm going to read this entire thing because what they did, I was putting this up and I edited out all the family stuff, but on this day, it's going to be so much more important, so I want everyone to understand it. Did you want bondage or freedom? We thought that title might get your attention, but Roger was also asked when he awakened this morning and did not know why. We apologize in advance for the length of this message. Roger needs it today. Then he came to his computer, and uncharacteristically for him, he opened an email before conferring with us. We are making this message as light as possible, for the more of you who understand it, eventually will lead you to more of your freedom as it will Roger. We say more of it, for as humanity, you never achieve that entirely, or the world would cease to exist or evolve. Now that sentence will help all of you move through the current restructuring of your world. We have our usual Roger story. Yesterday we referred to Roger's former roommate and their connection to trigger memories within each of them that aid their evolvement. Roger did not know why the film the roommate mentioned was one that held significance for Roger until he watched. We told Roger to follow his instinct and watch it, as we ask him to follow his intuition and send this message to his entire family, which will lead to more freedom for Roger. When Roger watched the film, he reflected on the message we gave to you all about personal restructuring, using your ancestry and moving through more of your individual and collective limitations as humans. Roger then remembered this film was introduced to him 20 years ago by his great aunt. Roger had no memory why, so he called her yesterday and recounted the story, and then the connection made sense. Roger was to see his great-grandfather and carry on that work, but Roger thought, why me? And then, could it be me? Each of you is asking yourself those questions in your own ways and for your personal reasons, and now we will explain that and brilliantly tie it all together, which surprises Roger still when we do so. Last night, Roger watched a documentary that moved him so much because it reminded him of his job in this life. As we have said, you all have one, and Roger knows he is to be loved, which is why he struggles to say or do things that might be controversial or cause harm to others. He has also held back his progression, which is why we wanted to send this to his family. Roger sent them all an email yesterday recommending a documentary he just watched, as he did want them to see the things that matter to him, which are empathy, inclusion, acceptance, and love. Unbeknownst to him before, that was his great-grandfather and the connection of his great-aunt. When Roger sent the email, he blind copied all the family members as, again, Roger was attempting to avoid controversy. But we told him he had to give that up, so we got in the way. Remember, we are making this fun. Roger's niece and nephew upset the apple cart by responding to all the members about the video Roger also included, describing how China controlled the coronavirus. Now, Roger knew why we were asking the question about bondage or freedom. What China accomplished was achieving freedom through bondage, but evolution involves acquiring freedom through acceptance. That little sentence we threw in was the secret to world peace. Roger's niece is Chinese, so her reaction was to the bondage she knew existed, and Roger's response was only to the choice you could choose freedom, or for everyone, if all wore masks, which indicated to him acceptance of all. That acceptance is one another and yourself, ultimately. Roger was not able to accomplish this, as many of you haven't until now. More of you are mysteriously finding your voices, as Roger is. Both of his nieces have seen their activism surprisingly coming through, which is the restructuring of your world being activated in every individual. As we have said, you will be fine. One more thing. Study your history. Every pandemic or global disaster always leads to evolution of all when you choose freedom. And that is complete and total acceptance of all, including your family. Every eon you get better. That was the message, and that wouldn't have made sense to many people then, and it didn't make sense to me, and it does today. And I'm saying that because that is the evolution of our consciousness that we each experience in different ways, but we also experience it as a world. My life was obviously meant to bring in a new way, a new philosophy to give more people the ability to experience that freedom and live great lives and create the world they want to see in our future. I know that I can't do that now because I'll be 75 November 2nd. So I lived it all and I've created it, and now you can have it. Now, what I didn't know is how I did that. You don't know either, because we are we are unlimited. We are limitless beings, basically, if we can get out of our way and really accept our consciousness. I couldn't do that because I'm looking at this and I go, wait a minute, this has never happened before. You're doing the same thing. You have never happened before. And so today is that day that you might want to choose freedom and choose yourself. But I'll give you another gift because I want everyone to understand this, because I didn't. What Wilhelm has given us is a revolutionary way to look at ourselves, our lives, and our world, understanding it in an entirely new way. And I spent 36 years doing this, so I know that it works because it healed every aspect of me. It could do the same for any person and our world eventually if we believed it. And that is the difficulty we each have, is self-belief. And I had it in spades. Let me show you this because I'll leave this with you. Wilhelm's Gift to Humanity, a 36-year transmission for our time of transition, an important discovery for the 21st century. Between 1989 and 2025, a consistent source of wisdom known as Wilhelm has delivered an extraordinary 36-year continuum of guidance that represents one of the most significant spiritual discoveries of our time. With a documented 91.7% composite accuracy score and a 94.3% astrological correlation rate, these transmissions have provided humanity with precise navigational coordinates for the profound planetary transition we are experiencing. As we stand in October 2025 at the exact culmination point Wilhelm predicted, this body of wisdom offers both validation of its authenticity and urgently needed guidance for our collective evolution. And you can read the entire thing because there are correlations of time, energy, space that we are still figuring out. I went into the quantum field, which I could not have known was occurring, but you will see that on the messages on the site because they began in 2008, which was a cycle that we are completing currently. And that's why all the events that we are experiencing in our world will resemble some of those things. Anyway, and you'll see the correlation that they put together of what Wilhelm was giving us in world events. Then I discovered that what they were telling me, and you can read all of this, I've never studied astrology. It's never been something that, just for fun, that many of us have done. But Wilhelm was giving us all information to understand that it's energy. Our bodies are energy. When we were born, we had a DNA code that gets activated. It responds to the changes in our world, changes of our planets, and all of us, and as a collective society. That is what is happening. That's what this work is. And I'm going to give this to you because I want you to understand it, because today you might choose freedom, and that would be choosing yourself. It was surprising to me to discover that I had accomplished this. You will surprise yourself. We're all meant to do that. We're not supposed to come through the world and be the same people. We're supposed to do something new. It could have been challenging. It's difficult. Mine was a horrible path, but then it comes out on the other side where you see it makes sense and it was all worth it. And that's what I'm going to have more people understand, and then our world will understand it as well. Enjoy this video. Enjoy this booklet because it'll give you so much greater understanding of yourself. See you soon.